Thanks for joining us today for our survivorship special topic. My name is Julie Lanford, and I'm the Community Engagement Director at Cancer Services. We are a cancer support nonprofit located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And each month we post a special topic video with experts in a variety of areas relating to cancer, cancer survivorship, and caregiving. And these videos are posted on Cancer Services website as well as our YouTube channel. And the audio is also available on our podcast, The Triad Cancer Connection. All survivors and caregivers are welcome to join. We have a monthly discussion group on Zoom on the fourth Tuesday at 7 p.m. So you can find all of our previously recorded special topics at cancerservicesonline.org/special topic. And if you're interested in participating in any of our monthly discussion groups, you can go to cancerservicesonline.org/register to sign up and get the link for that. Our special topic this month is what to know when you're facing cancer. And we are lucky to have 3 experts who are also staff members here at Cancer Services for this month's discussion. Our first panelist is Melissa Lyle-Nipper, who is our Patient Advocate Director and a Master's in Social Work. Felicia Dobson is one of our patient advocates who's been on staff for many years. And Lindy Milligan is our survivorship coordinator and also a breast cancer survivor. So thank you all for joining with me today. You know, we chose this topic because getting a cancer diagnosis for the first time can be scary and overwhelming, and you feel like you don't know where to start. And for those who are at the sort of close to the end of treatment or who have completed active treatment, that's also a really scary time. You're not seeing your doctor every week, and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, are things going okay? And so we are going to talk with our 3 panelists about where to go, who to talk to, what questions to ask, those types of things, to add resources to your toolbox as you go through your journey. We have lots of resources at Cancer Services, and so we want to make sure you know about our services, but also there's lots of great other resources that you'll want to know about, and so we'll talk about those today. So Felicia, Lindy, and Melissa, thank you so much for joining with us today. I want to get started just with the basics around maximizing your time with the medical team. So for those who are newly diagnosed and kind of just getting to learn their treatment team or figuring out their treatment schedule or what's going to be happening, Felicia, what types of questions do you recommend that people ask their medical team when they're earlier on in their diagnosis?
Hi, glad to be here. I think that it's really important for people to go in and I know that Melissa is really gonna chime in on one specific area. I'm coming from the perspective of knowing what tests have been ordered. So I think it's important that you go in and you know what types of labs have been ordered. There's other tests specific to diagnoses. And knowing what those test results mean are just very important, and knowing what other conditions may come into play, what you can do about them. What does a CBC mean for the patient? And so I think knowing that, there may be something as small as eating the right foods that are high in key nutrients. That's something that it's a lot smaller than saying, okay, I'm coming in and I know this cancer diagnosis is here, and I'm depending on this doctor and the healthcare team to provide a lot of different information, but what can I do as well? And understanding those lab results can give the patient a lot of power in going in firsthand.
So making sure that you know what tests are being ordered, what the results mean, and then if there's anything that you can, to do about those. All right, so you said Melissa would have some thoughts. Melissa, what are your additions to the questions to ask your doctor?
Well, I think a lot of time, or not a lot, but I see people who will come in and they don't really know what kind of cancer they have. They don't know what kind of breast cancer they have, or lung cancer, or whatnot. And I think they're sometimes afraid to ask. They're getting a lot of information at those first visits. So first of all, it's good to have someone go with you, so you have another set of ears hearing that. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to call back, or message back through your electronic chart, or ask questions. Seek out answers from your navigator. Your nurse navigator can also help with those things. Say you leave and you're like, oh, I wish I would ask that question. That could be a person. So I think that yes, understanding your type of cancer. I mean, all the tests that Felicia was mentioning. Why do I have to have this test? Why do I have to have this scan? What is it? What does it mean? And the results. So I think it's just trying to get that basic understanding. And you don't have to learn it all at that first visit, but to know how to get back in touch, or where to go if you have questions after that first visit.
Yeah, I think that's really important. It is sometimes surprising to me. I mean, there's so many different subtypes of cancer that you really do want to know, like, exactly what type of cancer. And then, like Felicia said, okay, make sure you understand the test. It's almost like you're getting a degree in, in oncology, because you're having to go through this and you're having to learn it along the way, which is really hard. So if you have any, like if you're bringing a caregiver with you, I think that's a really good tip, is to bring somebody who's great at taking notes, who can help you figure out, based on what you've, gotten from one visit, what questions do you want to ask at the next visit. Kind of following up with that, what about, we read about people, getting second opinions. Do you have advice on who should get a second opinion, or how you go about that process, or where where you would do that?
Well, I'll start. I want to say that it's important to realize that pathologists are the physicians that diagnose the cancer. And once the cancer has been diagnosed, I think a second opinion from that point is really important. Getting the right diagnosis by that pathologist is really crucial. And if someone would like to go about getting a second opinion, that would be critical in helping to clarify the diagnosis. So it goes back to what questions to ask your doctor, exactly what type of cancer, all of that kind of comes from that pathology report. And so you can ask for a second opinion for another pathologist to read those results.
So you could get one within the center you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also go outside to
Definitely.
get a second opinion, either with the accurate, make sure that the diagnosis is clear, or even the treatment plan might be the same or a little different with a second opinion.
And the treatment plan, of course, would be getting a second opinion from an oncologist. So it's two different things that we're talking about. A pathologist to read the actual report, but then also an oncologist to go about, is this the right plan for this type of cancer?
Gotcha. I have had some, people either seek second opinions where you physically go to another cancer center for the purpose of just getting clarity around treatment options. But also, I think there are options for getting second opinions that you can do even without traveling to the other cancer center. Melissa, do you have any experience with that for clients?
Yes, I've had some clients who do that. And they're able to, maybe their doctors are able to send their reports, the pathology report, so the person doesn't have to travel, even as far as Texas. I've had clients who have been able to, get some of that second opinion and that confirmation without having to go, out of state or to, physically go to another facility. So it is possible that you wouldn't have to go, but if you were interested in that, ask. Your oncologist should be open to that. Don't feel, a lot of people I think are afraid that they're going to offend their doctor or make them mad, and their treatment would be different, whatnot. It's, they're professionals. If you want a second opinion, ask about it, and or tell them you're going to seek one, whatnot. So don't be afraid.
Yeah, and I think your oncologist might even be a great person to ask, even to say, well, I really prefer to get treatment here locally, but I would like to consult with an expert in my particular type of cancer. Can you tell me who across the country would be an expert, or what cancer center can I get a second opinion at that would really, if you get two answers that are the same, then that can make you feel pretty good about your treatment regimen. But also, like Felicia said, you want to make sure that you've got the accurate diagnosis. So that's what second opinions are for. And it's not an insult to your medical team if you ask for one, that they're used to that. And that's kind of, normal. So Lindy, I do want to kind of move a little bit towards what types of questions, as people get to the end of their active treatment and they're thinking about what we call sort of the more wellness or survivorship phase of cancer, what types of questions do you think people should ask their medical team, either after active treatment's over or as they're thinking about kind of their next steps after active treatment?
Well, one thing is that it starts to feel very strange when you're used to going to the doctor every day or every week. And all of a sudden you're not going to be going as frequently. So some of the questions would be, how often am I going to see you now? How often am I going to be examined? What type of follow-up scans or treatment will I have? Even once I'm out of active treatment, what type of access do I have to the navigators who have helped me to this point? If I have any questions, is it best to send you a message on my chart or set up an appointment? And one of the things I would recommend to anyone finishing up active treatment is Cancer Transitions Wellness Program. It's a 4-week program, and it covers 4 main topics, which everybody needs information on. And it is a really great way to help you kind of focus in on the really important things that you want to be able to reinstate when you finish active treatment. In fact, we have a course coming up in November, and it is our once a year Transitions Wellness Crash Course, which we will be holding in person on November the 11th. And it will be covering all 4 of those major topics: nutrition, exercise, emotional recovery, and medical management. And we'll cover all those in the one-day Saturday session. So look for those signups, and we would love to see you join us at Cancer Services for that program in person.
Awesome. So Lindy broke up a little bit. She was talking about the Transitions Wellness Program, which we do offer throughout the year. Most of the rest of the year it's virtual, and in November we have this crash course, as you heard. So yeah, I think those are great things for people those are the kind of key times after facing cancer, like in the beginning as you're making treatment decisions, and then towards the end, or as you move towards more maintenance therapy for people who are going to be on treatment for the rest of their life. you can still have this sort of transition time between, okay, active treatment is winding down and we're going into either survivorship care or maintenance treatment, to think about how you're going to, maintain your wellness through those times. So another big issue for people facing cancer, of course, is finances, because medical costs are expensive in the first place, and cancer, of course, is one of the most expensive diagnoses you could face. So Melissa, in terms of the cost, managing the costs of cancer treatment, you've worked in oncology as a social worker for several years. How have you seen sort of the evolution of costs and how to help people keep their financial wellness despite a cancer diagnosis?
I think first what you have to look at is your insurance. And know your benefits, know what your out of pocket's going to be, have an idea of what that cost is going into treatment. Meet with the financial counselor or navigator at your facility. See if, they may be able to assist you with that. And let you know what kind of internal programs are available. If you don't have insurance, you might be able to qualify for charity care at that facility. There also may be navigators that they can connect you with to help you apply for, if you need to apply for disability or Medicaid. There's some assistance there. There's also different national copay assistance foundations, which will help with some of the copays. Usually not everything, but a lot of times it's like the medication copay. So I'm getting chemotherapy. What's the copay, on that medication? It might help pick up that. There's not a program for every diagnosis, and the programs, a lot of times they will open and close funding throughout the year. So we certainly can help people look through that at Cancer Services, or you can go online to Fund Finder and get alerts about different foundations that may become open for your diagnosis. But I think, just getting that piece of information up front, what your anticipated expenses are going to be. You may be able to work out a payment plan too through the facility. Ask them what those options are, or if there's any discount or whatnot, if you're paying cash or so definitely talking with those people, knowing what your benefits are. If you're now faced with not being able to work and you've had a loss of income, you might want to reach out to like a local financial counseling, financial pathways type agency to help with maybe some budgeting, being open with your lenders, telling them what's going on. If you have a mortgage payment or car payments, they may be able to work with you. So don't just assume that there's not any help. Ask.
Okay. That's good. So you make sure to get an assessment as to how much it's going to cost based on your insurance. Mm-hmm. If that's going to be more than you can handle, then you can ask for payment plans from the treatment center. You can reach out to, I tell everyone to have an advocate, just come over to Cancer Services and meet with a patient advocate, so you establish that relationship. And that way, if something comes up, even if you think you can afford your treatment, it's good to go ahead and get to know the advocate team, because then you have a person you can call if something is more expensive than you expect, or if you can't work after all. So I think the patient advocates are super great, because they'll know all the resources at the cancer centers as well as in the community. So you mentioned Fund Finder, as that's a national or just a internet-based resource that can email you if your particular cancer has financial resources that open up.
Right.
You mentioned Financial Pathways, which is a Forsyth County local nonprofit that helps people sort of do financial planning. And then are there other resources that people should know about? We've talked about their cancer center resources. Are there other national resources that are helpful?
There are, some of the national organizations might have, like grants to help with urgent needs, some non-medical type expenses. I think it's important to sort of think out of the box. We'll have people call sometimes and say, well, I don't need assistance with gas. I need assistance with my copays. Well, we might not be able to find that copay assistance for your doctor's appointment, but we might be able to find gas assistance. So, being open to doing that juggle, just again, speaking with advocates.
Awesome. Okay, so let's think about, just speaking of some of the costs that maybe aren't covered by your insurance. I'm thinking about like wigs, or are those covered by insurance, Felicia? Or is that something that people often have to pay on their own?
Wigs are sometimes covered under insurance, but not a lot of times. Like Melissa said, call your insurance company, see what's covered, some of the things that you may need as far as, your medications, what tier they're on, and then we go to wigs, which would be under the medical prostheses. I think it's termed, correct? Medical prostheses would be the wig. And that goes for other supplies as well.
And I know like nutrition supplements, they're often not covered.
Right. And so here at Cancer Services, we have a wide array of supplies, everything from wigs. And with the wigs, we have the wig caps, the wig heads. We show you how to wear the wig. We have you try on different styles and colors. So, we make sure that our clients leave here and they feel really good about the way they look, and that they have another option once they're home and they want to wear, a wig. So we have all of those supplies, to include hats and scarves as well, and prostheses, bras, medical supplies, equipment, nutritional supplements that you mentioned. So it's important to keep that, calorie intake, and so that's what we try to provide. We want to eliminate any barriers, and that also helps with the financial piece, because if we don't provide that wig to the client, then the client has to go and buy it. And so that's more money going out of the household. A case of Ensure is pretty expensive. If you can get it here, donated, or as a financial client with Cancer Services, that saves money in the household as well. So in all, it comes back to making sure that we try to alleviate any barriers and make sure that the clients that come and speak with us are aware of all the resources that are out there.
Yeah, I always recommend to like any of my friends or contacts who have cancer that like, don't spend money on anything until you call Cancer Services and see, because a lot of our supplies are donated, and you don't have to qualify financially. We have a lot of wigs here. So even if you're somebody who has money to buy a wig, but you probably could use that money on something else, go ahead and give us a call, and we'd be happy to get you a wig. And I think sort of on the flip side, when you're done with the wig, or if you have supplies that were provided to you during treatment that you ended up not needing, we are a place that can take those as donations, so you can feel like you're giving back and supporting, the next person who has to go through that. So if you do have extra wigs or nutrition supplement or medical supplies that you don't need, that can be a way for you to give back to help others in our community who are facing cancer. So Lindy, I want to kind of get your thoughts around, especially as somebody who's gone through a cancer diagnosis, how can people help build up their support system like optimize those who are willing to help, and especially for those who maybe don't have any family directly in town, what's the best way for people to reach out and build a support system?
Well, at Cancer Services, we have a monthly support group meeting for various types of cancer, as well as our other monthly programs like art and wellness. So in those programs, you have an opportunity to meet other people that are going through some of the similar things you're going through, and that helps from a support standpoint. Another thing is setting up a caring bridge. So it's a website where you can go on and post updates, and it's really helpful to have one of those so that you are kind of controlling the narrative. So you can just give people access to the link to your personal caring bridge, and you can also control who gets the link to that. And then you can post in there what is going on and what you're doing, and that kind of helps people know what you're going through. You can also post things in there that you may need assistance with. Kind of one of the things that everybody says to a new cancer patient is, I'm here to help. Let me know how I can help you. Well, majority of people don't know how to help, and they don't know what you need and tell them. Take advantage of that, other groups that you may be a part of, a church group or some type of a social group. Feel free to take advantage of those by telling them what you need. So if you need food, or if you need somebody to come and do your yard or whatever, don't be afraid to ask. And people are usually more than willing to help.
Yeah, I think that's really good to kind of, and maybe you need someone to help you brainstorm ways to ask for help, because sometimes we aren't always the most open to receiving help. And somebody else might be able to say, hey, maybe doing your dishes or grocery shopping would be something that would help you. So keeping a list of how to respond. And I like so Caring Bridge is a website that you can set up your own, basically medical kind of updates, so that you don't get all the million questions. And you can even give other people access to that. So if you want to, have somebody else do the updates, but you tell them what to put on there, they could do that for you too. What about a lot of people at the beginning of cancer are like, oh, how do I help? How do I help? And then a lot of times the social support sort of drops off when you get to the end, because they think, oh, well, the crisis phase is over. But that's often still a time where you really maybe need even more of the emotional support. So do you have thoughts on that, Lindy?
We have a peer support program, so we can match you up with someone that has been through a similar situation. The support groups that we have that meet monthly are very beneficial to people that have completed their active treatment, because a lot of times the topics and discussions are ways to kind of move past that active time. And I think that if you just look around to ways that you can kind of get out in public and get going again, maybe a small exercise group. I know we have our Move More, Stress Less program at Cancer Services, which gives you a little bit of accountability. You can find a partner, a neighbor, or someone to get out and walk with you. Any type of physical activity like that would be great. And just don't be afraid to reach out for help, even if it's after the fact, because a lot of times it's not until then that kind of it all hits you, especially the emotional part. Both of the cancer centers here and most cancer centers have a counseling program as part of your treatment options. And when you're going through the process, you may not think that you need that, but then at the end is when you need it the most, and don't be afraid to ask for that resource.
Yeah, because a lot of times you're so much in a mode of like just getting through, like getting to the next treatment or getting to the, you know, the next scan. And then when sort of that treatment phase is over, that's when maybe you're more able to cope or not cope with what just happened. So it is, I think that's a really great tip about using the counselors. Even if you're done with treatment, they're still there for you. And the exercise piece, the YMCA's also have Live Strong at the YMCA, which is a really great program to help people get back to fitness that we work pretty closely with. Are there other resources? I'm trying to think if there's other resources. I'll make sure that we have all the links to the ones we've discussed in our show notes, but are there other resources that any of you can think of that we haven't discussed that they need to know about? I feel like each cancer often has its own sort of good national group that is helpful if you're somebody who likes to stay sort of up to date with the latest information. But are there other general resources you think are beneficial for people?
One thing is to, if you are on Facebook, is to look for private Facebook groups that specialize in either your type of cancer or the treatment that you've been through. These are especially helpful if you have maybe one of the cancers that are a little bit of less known or less frequent. So it may be hard to find a number of people in your area that have that type of cancer, but in that case, a lot of times Facebook will have a specialized group, and then you're getting information, you know, really nationally or internationally from people that are going through the same type thing. And we've had a number of people that have really benefited from some of those private Facebook groups.
Yeah, and Julie, I think, you know, you mentioned that each diagnosis might have its own, like a national organization. I think that it's important also when people are seeking out either information or resources or even, you know, peer support, to look for an organization that ends in .org when you're doing a search, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I think that with .org, those are you know, nonprofits, and they tend to be more reliable than just someone slapping up a website. But Cancer Care is an organization, cancercare.org, that offers things online, phone support groups. They have a lot of like handouts and fact sheets and things like that. And they are a national organization. So that's a good link too, especially if, you know, someone's not in this area and they want to find out what might be around them. That's a good organization to call, because they also have advocates and social workers who will help connect you with resources in their area.
Awesome.
And I'm also thinking about most cancer centers will have integrative medicine, which is very complementary. And these are things like taking part in acupuncture, yoga, meditation, massage, those types of things. And the aim is to, you know, healing. So Cancer Services also has those, it's called a Healing Hands program, where we have therapists that will provide things like skincare, massage, Reiki, and those types of therapies to patients at no charge. So just be open-minded to the complementary things that go along with treating the underlying diagnosis.
Yeah, that's a really, really great tip. All right, is there anything else I'm missing? Trying to think if there's anything else. Well, I will say that we are available You can even just call or stop by during our business hours at Cancer Services. So we are happy to kind of point you in whatever direction is helpful. I always tell people that asking, you know, okay, is there anything else I should know? Or is there a resource, you know, that you can point me to are great questions, even to just ask our staff. So I think that's all for today's topic. It's been a lot of really helpful information. Thanks you to all three of you for sharing your expertise and for what you do for our clients every day. And that wraps up our topic. So as a reminder, all of our videos are on our website, cancerservicesonline.org. If you go to cancerservicesonline.org/special topic, we have them all listed from this year, and you might find other topics you're interested in as well. And be sure to get on our email list, our mailing list, and follow us on social media to get updated information on our most recent programs. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next month.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.